The Survivors is brought to you by our friends at Schoser Talent and Wellness Solutions. This podcast mentions suicide, mental illness, grief, and loss, and may be triggering for some listeners. So please take care of your mental well-being by pausing or skipping any sections that feel uncomfortable to you. And if you or someone you know is struggling, please call 988 for support. I can't believe we're here at this point. I am dumbfounded that we have recorded a full season of our podcast together.
I know, it's kind of crazy. And for two people that have known each other not even a year, and like we are already like best buddies, and talking about a really hard subject, but making waves too.
Yeah, we're definitely, I think, making waves. I mean, we certainly are getting enough feedback from all over the world to support that, which feels amazing. And we know people are tuning in because we get to see behind the curtain, and we see how many of you are out there listening to us on the regular and commenting and sharing episodes. And it just is the most beautiful feeling in the world to know that people are paying attention to this conversation, because that's the whole point. That's been our whole point.
For sure. And the emails that we've gotten and the reviews and comments on our posts, it warms my heart that people want to learn more, want to help more, and want to make talking about suicide not such a horrible conversation.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the irony is, it's something that every single one of us somehow, some way will be touched by eventually. If you haven't been, this is kind of how we started our conversation. Like, if you haven't been touched by this yet, wait a minute, because you will be. And then when you are, at least you'll understand it. At least you'll know what to do, how to help. If it's yourself that's struggling, if it's someone you care about that's struggling, at least if you've been paying attention to what we've been talking about this first season, you'll have some tools in the toolbox, and you can help. You can help yourself and you can help other people. So this is kind of fun. Like, I'm excited for this episode because in front of me, and I know in front of you because I just emailed it to you, is our calendar from season 1. And I have all of these episodes that we've already recorded and by now have been released. And I just think of how much incredible conversation has taken place in the last 15 weeks, from never having recorded a single thing ever together, except for my appearance on your other podcast, which I will plug right now. It's called Shit That Goes On in Our Heads. You and Dirty Skittles taking over the world, one mental health conversation at a time. Because of that, and because of our friends at PodMatch that helped to make that connection possible, we're sitting here right now at the very end of our own first season of our own spinoff podcast. And it just gives me the most joy. Like, I want to hug you so badly right now, but I can't because I'd break my computer screen because you're on a screen right now. It's so sad.
Just come on through. I know you want to. Just
I know.
Look at it.
I know. I would love to. But we're going to see each other in person soon enough. So let's do the fun thing, which is to recap our whole first season of The Survivors. So, look at you with the emojis again, with the hearts. I love that. That makes me so happy. So we start. Oh, now it's confetti. This is incredible. It's like a ticker tape parade. So episode 1, we talked very in depth about our origin story, how you and I came to be here, how we met, how we found each other in the world, and how we realized that we had so much in common with each other.
How you and I met was absolutely crazy, but I'm a huge believer in fate, and we were supposed to meet, and how that pre-interview for Shit That Goes On in Our Heads lasted almost 2 hours. Typically, those are like maybe half an hour, but we just kept talking, and we just had this great synergy between the two of us, and we built another beautiful podcast based on our lived experiences.
Yeah. And I do believe as much now, more so now, even now that we've finished our whole first season, I believe it even more now that there is not a community out there quite like ours. There is not a platform out there quite like ours that not only focuses on suicide and having those conversations and talking about the really nuanced kind of grief that's attached to that kind of loss. But it's also a place where two different kinds of survivors, like who's out there, two different kinds of survivors like this with our kind of lived experience of being an attempt survivor on your side and my side being a multiple suicide loss survivor. And I'm also on Crisis Lifelines and we're both advocates. It's like we have this complete circle of experience, not experience we were either of us wish that we had, but we have it. And what I love more than anything about our relationship is that you and I match each other's energy so well. And we always have since the minute we started talking to each other last year. And we both have the singular goal of normalizing these conversations so that people can just talk about the shit that's weighing them down and that they're dealing with and not feel stigmatized anymore. And I've never met anybody that matched my energy like that before.
Yeah, you are a little fireball. But, the other thing that we need to remember too is like a lot of the podcasts that are out there are very clinical. Ours are not clinical by any means. And yes, we may laugh about some stuff that's not really that funny, but levity is part of healing and acknowledging that it's okay to laugh. Hindsight is 2020. I will tell you in my own little journey, I can go back and laugh at some of the shit that happened right before I made that phone call. But, I got to share that in my story, and you got to share your story. And it was so beautiful and so eloquent when you shared your story. I'm not a big crier lately, but like every time you and I get together, I cry more and more. So it's something about you.
You're just a softie. It's not me. You're just a highly sensitive and emotional human. So you have a huge heart. So, it doesn't surprise me that we're both like that. And, I love the fact that, our first episode was obviously our origin story, which is how we got together. And we already just shared a little bit about that. We met because of this app that is like a dating app for podcasters and guests that got us together called PodMatch. And I got invited to speak on your podcast, and the rest is kind of history at this point. We just had an instant connection, and now we're sitting behind the mic together every week doing something we love. And then we had my story. Episode 2 was my story about, losing my father, my cousin, and one of my closest childhood friends to suicide, and learning that my father had taken his life 35 years after he died. That was a twist that nobody saw coming. And then we hopped over to your story, and episode 3 was you just being so unbelievably vulnerable and honest about how hard things were for you.
And they were. Since I started telling my story, I have had a few friends drop off because for somebody to be that vulnerable or talk about the things that I talk about, suicide, mental health, like it scares people and they dropped out of my life. But there's a reason and a season for friends. But I know in my heart I'm doing the right thing, and that's all the validation I need.
Absolutely. And you know what? No fault to them either, because what you're talking about and what we're talking about, like, it's hard. It's hard and it's scary. And even though you don't maybe want it to be, it can be off-putting for a lot of people who don't know how to handle it. So you did what you needed to do in talking about it and being open and honest about it. And that's what saved your life. And those people who may have dropped out of your life were doing what they needed to do to protect themselves. So it's like, there's no fault, no harm, no foul all the way around. And the point is that you're here and you're thriving, and you are the poster child for the 988 crisis and suicide lifeline, which I love, because I think we should start putting your face on all the billboards around the country. Be like G, call 988, be like G. Oh, that was your first snort of the season. That's so cute. See, we started the season laughing and we're ending the season.
I can't with you. And no, nobody needs to see my short little body, short little head on a billboard. No.
Look, I think that you would create a groundswell of people wanting to call because you're so endearing and adorable and sweet. I think you'd fire people up to want to help themselves. We moved from sharing our stories just to kind of lay the foundation for this whole podcast. We moved right into why these conversations matter, which I think was such a perfect place to start, because that's what we're doing. We're having these conversations and they matter. And we spent an entire episode talking about why that is. And it's simple, right? We spent a half an hour talking about it, but at the end of the day, it's really simple. Like, when you talk about these things, you create safe spaces to have these hard conversations, and you give people permission to be vulnerable and honest and share what's going on the inside so that people can be better equipped to help themselves and to help each other.
And also, as we share our journeys and our stories, every time we talk about it, we unlock somebody else's prison. Sharing our journeys, sharing our resources, sharing what's out there gives people some tools, some coping tools. And because like you and I both said, suicide's not like the funnest topic to talk about, but it happens every day. And that's why it's important that we talk about it. It's important that we talk about it not just with our friends and our family, but the world and on LinkedIn and with businesses and with schools and kids. It's a fact of life. It does happen. And there's so many resources out there that people can use to maybe save their life. Well, like, we can't save them all. We can at least try to give them the resources that they need for that very moment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. One of the beautiful conversations that we had that we were fortunate was a 2-part conversation, was our time that we got to spend with Janine Ellenberg from our sponsor Calmary. She's the chief medical officer of Calmary and the founder of Behaviorance. What a rich and powerful conversation over that 2-part. That was episode 6 and 7. What a powerful conversation with someone who has got so much clinical experience, so much lived experience, so much professional experience, not only as a therapist, but, kind of behind the curtain on that real clinical side. And we just had such deep conversations about how to tell when people are struggling and the importance of taking care of the people around you and the importance of prioritizing mental health and the importance of equalizing mental illness and recognizing it as an illness. Like, I mean, if you haven't already listened to those 2 episodes, episode 6 and 7, go listen to them, because Janine offers such a rich perspective on everything that we're talking about here. And she's just so incredibly eloquent and lovely. And we just wanted to hug her the entire time.
That's so true. And it's not just like her lived experiences, but she's a mom too. And the importance of telehealth and the importance of empathy and kindness, and let's try and make the world a better place. There's a lot going on in the world right now, and empathy and kindness go a really long way, and just reminding people of how important that is.
Yeah, we've done that. Well, that's been a constant theme. I mean, we've done that in, regardless of whatever it is that we've been talking about on any given week, we always circle back to that, because that's at the heart of what we need people to realize. It's how we engage with each other and support each other that will change this whole narrative that you and I are working so hard with so many other people to change. So it's just been such a full season. It's gone by too fast, I think, for sure. I mean, in episode 8, we debunked the whole stigma around suicide, which is what we continue to do. I mean, we definitely had an episode dedicated to it, but we do that in every single conversation that we have, because, look, suicide has been this scary monster in everybody's imagination and hearts forever. It's something that nobody wants to pay attention to and nobody wants to be affected by. And we need to understand that the root of it all is just a mental illness, which is just an illness, which is something that can be treated and something that can be positively impacted. What if your business could recruit smarter, onboard faster, and support employee wellness all at once? Welcome to Schoser Talent and Wellness Solutions, where people-first strategy meets real results. With over 45 years of combined experience and 16 years specializing in UKG recruiting and onboarding systems, we help small and mid-sized businesses thrive. From the first application to full integration, we streamline your hiring process, reduce time to hire, and deliver seamless onboarding experiences. Our proprietary tools like the Recruiting and Onboarding Health Check and the Employee Mental Wellness Index turn insight into impact. At Schoser, we know that businesses are built on people. That's why we integrate wellness into every solution, promoting mental health, reducing burnout, and creating a culture where talent stays and thrives. Whether you're navigating change, implementing tech, or engaging your team, we tailor every solution to fit your goals. Visit schosersolutions.com today. Let's build a healthier, more productive future, one workplace at a time. Hopefully we've done some positive work in breaking apart the stigma so that people don't have to feel like it's taboo anymore.
And, we provided really good resources for people, right, that they probably had never heard of before and can use today. It's stuff they can print up, they can put in their phone. And, talking about suicide shouldn't be any different than talking about mental health or talking about what your plans are for the weekend. We all go through things, and our brains are all wired differently. And giving somebody crap because they talked about committing suicide is probably the shittiest thing you could ever do. There's a lot that goes into that thought process. Think twice before you speak and use the resources that we put out there, and put yourself in their shoes and kind of figure out kind of what they were going through.
Yeah. It's important to just put judgment aside. It's important to just validate everybody's experience for that person's experience. Like, you know how when you're in a conversation with someone and you say something and it really hits the person the wrong way and you're like, oh, whoa, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean that. Well, okay, maybe you didn't mean that, but it still had the impact it had on that person because that's how they internalized it. Well, mental illness is the same way. Depression is the same way. What might depress you might not depress me and vice versa. It's all of this stuff is so subjective. So we need to be gentle with people and we need to give ourselves permission to feel the way that we feel without judging ourselves and bitching at ourselves. And like you said, same thing. Don't do it with other people. Just have some respect that whatever the person is going through is something big for them. And we just never know what's going on behind somebody else's curtain. But, like you said, we spent an awful lot of time this season giving out an awful lot of what you hope will be resources that people will use and will start to access and share. I mean, we spent 4 consecutive weeks, episode 9, 10, 11, and 12. We talked about so many different things relating to Mental Health Awareness Month. That was, how fortunate for us that our first season fell right in the middle of that.
Those were such great conversations, too. We talked about the importance of self-care. We talked about the crisis lines. We talked about the importance of therapy. All really good things. But if you're not doing those things, then you could fall into some of those behaviors that you would talk negatively to yourself about, right? So, my big thing every day is check under the hood. Make sure that I'm good. Make sure I'm sticking with my therapy. Make sure that I'm, checking in with my friends, checking in with myself, stopping the negative self-talk, because that is just not a good place to go. Mm-hmm. And sharing the virtues of therapy, right? Some people see it as a negative thing, but for me, there's so many different types of therapy you can have, and I incorporate them all. I do art therapy, I do EFT, I do energy therapy, I do nature therapy, only when it's not snowing, and it's helped my mental health. And like you said, how crazy it was that we got to, do our first Mental Health Awareness Month.
Yeah. And then that slid us right into Pride Month, which again, for both of us who are members of the LGBTQ community, what a joy to be able to talk about that on this platform, because we've already talked about this so many different times. We are in a very precarious time right now in the world. It's a challenging time to be a human on this planet, certainly challenging to be in this country at the moment, even more challenging to be part of a marginalized community within this country. And when you're talking about Pride Month, you want to talk about the celebrations and the excitement and the showering of love. But you have to also acknowledge that there's another side of it that's really been amplified this year during Pride, which is the struggle that has intensified for the queer community and how the queer community's mental health is being so negatively impacted by the state of the world right now, more so even than a lot of other populations, unfortunately. So we got to talk about that, and we got to share a lot of our own lived experience, and we got to share a lot of our own resources. I spent a lot of my time on the Trevor Project Crisis Lifelines. I got to talk a lot about that and the benefits and virtues of that. You got to talk about your own coming out story, and we both did. And it's just so much pride goodness. That was so good.
It was so good. It makes me happy that we can talk about this openly and once again give people really good resources like PFLAG and free mom hugs. Like, I just want to give all sorts of free mom hugs to everybody. But we get to have these really serious conversations. And it warms my heart that we get to do this, and hopefully our messages reach the people that need to hear them, and that people are listening and taking this seriously and, making those checklists and things that they need on a day-to-day basis.
I really hope so. You and I have been very intentional about the kinds of things that we've shared, the kinds of resources, the kinds of topics that we've brought up on this platform. And the whole purpose is to just elevate the whole conversation and make it acceptable and put resources on top of everybody's minds so that if you're struggling or if someone you know is struggling, you know what to do, or you have an idea of what to do. You've got something in your back pocket that you can pull out that can help you. Once we slid out of Pride Month, we started talking about warning signs. One of our last episodes, in fact, last week, our last episode before this one, kind of this whole season kind of culminated, I feel like, with that conversation about warning signs that someone you know is struggling and what to do. I mean, this is the Survivors podcast. This community that you and I are building is a community of people who have, in some way, shape, or form, been touched by suicide or mental illness, grief, loss, all attached to that one issue of suicide. And one of the biggest things in preventing any of that from happening is understanding what the signs are. And you and I talked about that. How do you tell when something's off with someone? How do you reach the extroverted people who keep all that hidden? How do you confront someone when you know they're not okay or you suspect they're not okay? Like, what do you say? What do you do? We did that last week, and I feel so good about what we said and how we said it and the resources that we offered, because if we have one person from this entire season of you and I sitting here and having these conversations, if one single person can be helped or the direction they were headed in can change for the better because of our conversation, well, didn't that make every minute just worth it?
It sure does. I'm super grateful for you. I'm super grateful for your mind and your time and your insight and being able to do this and really make an impact out there for our listeners. There's just so much more that we can do, like repurposing our content to maybe create an ebook on some resources and things like that, so that people have something tangible to hold in their hands. Life is short, and knowing that you are not alone in this world and that there are people and places that can help you move from like that 1 minute to the next, that's everything. And I love the community that we have built, and I love the fact that we have this amazing website that people can come out to, and you can leave us a voicemail, send us an email. We would love to hear from our listeners of like, what more would you like to hear from us from our perspectives? And our website is survivors.net. And I can't thank my co-host enough for her amazing, amazing mind.
Well, I mean, I spent the last two episodes before this making you cry. Now you're making me get all emotional. We've talked a lot this season about how you and I clicked so fast and how we started, saying, I love you right after the first or second conversation that we had, which was so unusual and felt so normal. And we talk, 65 times a day? Probably we talk or we
Feels
text.
like that, yes.
Yeah, I feel like I talk to you on the telephone more than I talk to even my own mother, and that says a lot. And it's like you have truly become family to me. I mean, I said it earlier, you match each other's energy in so many ways, and I'm so grateful for your willingness to have these conversations and your energy around it. And just, you have one of the biggest, most beautiful hearts that I have ever come across in a human. And my life is so much richer because you're a part of it now. And now, see, I see you. I see it. There it is. I made you cry. No, it's okay. You're okay. You're okay. But suffice it all to say that this has been a dream come true for me. And it's been a gift. Now I'm fully crying. If you're watching this YouTube video, now I'm like full on crying. You are a gift, and so is this podcast.
The same. And thank you to our listeners who stuck with us for 15 episodes. I can't wait for season 2. We have so many other things that we're going to talk about, and we're going to really dig deep. And if there's a subject you want us to touch on from both of our perspectives, please go to the website, leave us a voicemail or email. We want to hear from you. And just please, everybody remember, you are enough, you are wanted, you are loved, and the world's a better place because you're here.
Yeah, I second all of that. And I'll leave you with this one last message. We've worked really, really hard, you and I, this season, to build something special, to build a community where people who are dealing with suicide, look, there are over 92 million people in this world every year who are somehow touched by suicide. And we're trying to create a community where those people can come together and get the support and the resources and the guidance and the sense of community that you need in whatever way you need it. So this whole experience this season has been a gift. I cannot wait to come back for season 2 and do it all over again, and have even more impactful conversations than the ones we've already had. Thanks for being here, everybody, listening, supporting. G, I just love you. I love you so much.
I love you more. And I have one little thing for you. Let me go get it. Here we go. I got some heart. I heart you.
You heart me. So if you're just listening to this, in the last couple of episodes, G has found her emojis button on our Riverside recording studio and now is doing confetti and hearts for everything. So she just gave me lots of hearts. So we will end today and we will end this season with all the hearts and all the love, and we will come back re-energized for season 2. We'll see you soon.
See you soon. Thanks for joining us on The Survivors. Remember, no matter how tough things feel, you are enough, and the world needs you just the way you are. You're not alone in this journey. There's a community here, and every step forward counts. We're so grateful you took the time to listen, and we hope you'll take one day at a time. Just know there's always more light ahead.
Thanks for being here, friends. Just remember, help is out there in so many different places. So if you or someone you know is struggling, please call 988 and a trained crisis counselor like me will be there to help. You can also find an inclusive and comprehensive directory of mental health resources, tools, and content at thehelphub.co. Just remember that help is always just a call or a click away. We'll catch you next week. In the meantime, keep surviving.